Rule number 1 of lure making. Make sure when you're done, you have all 10 fingers. Rule number 2, while you're filming while making fishing lures, never dip your camera in purple paint. What's up, Yins guys? Welcome back to Fishing PA with Ryan Reed. In this episode, I want to give you guys an update on Sir Galashad, the shad crankbait that I started working on this past winter. Now, most of you know that I've been working on this bait, and I set a goal for myself in 2019. I wanted to create a wooden crankbait, and my goal for the year, my main fishing goal for the year, I should say, is to catch a fish on something that I created. You know, this is a new hobby for me. I just started trying to figure out how to make a wooden crankbait. Now, I've gone through a few iterations of this bait. Now, I have a few baits in front of me. These are things that I've been working on. So what I thought I'd do is give you guys a few laughs up front. I want to show you what I started with and kind of where I'm at right now. So first and foremost, I want to show you the very first piece of wood that I carved in an attempt to make a fishing lure. There she is. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Boy, is that ugly. But you know what? It's mine. I was able to kind of mess around with some wood at first. I got this piece of cedar and I just chiseled this odd shape, whatever you want to call this thing. You know, this is probably a really good use case for kindling. So the second attempt, no idea what I'm doing here. I'm just chiseling some wood. Now you guys can see this. I have no idea what this was or what I tried to do with this, but I can tell you its only function right now is a doorstop. And if you look at that, that is one heck of a doorstop, so I'm pretty proud of it. Okay, I started kind of getting into a shad type profile. So this is really my first attempt at a shad type bait. So you guys can see that. Very, very rough. I tried to throw some paint on there. My first go, you know, it's maybe kind of looks like a fishing lure. Same grouping of baits, I ended up with that. Look at the paint job on that baby. Super pumped about that. It really, really sucks. I am not creative. I am not much of a painter. However, my goal is to try to be good enough with paint to make it attractable or just enough flash and glitter to somehow force a fish to bite. So, you know, this, again, these are going on my shelf here. They're going to be the Ryan Reed Customs Special First Edition. So, my first legitimate attempt at a crankbait. Now, I think this is legit because it swims. It does have decent action, which I was surprised about in all honesty. And I was able to find a wood epoxy to try to cover and clear coat this to give it a little bit more, you know, solid texture here and to really protect the bait. So, this is my first attempt, my first really final attempt at Sir Galashad. So right here you see the Goldie pattern. Now I got size 4 hooks on here. I got the heavy duty split rings. The bill is actually screwed in. So if you guys can see that, that's an external bill. You know, the paint job, again, I'm never going to be creative with the paint job, but I wanted something gold. I wanted something that flashes, and this was what I came up with first. So again, really proud about this. This bait does float, it does run, and it does wiggle, so I was pretty surprised. So then I kind of started thinking about the bill placement and how to get it in there, avoid the screws, and really I started thinking about profile. So the next go that I tried looks something like this. So notice here, I cut the bill in on this one. You know, the profile is relatively the same. The paint job sucks. There's a ton of glitter on this one, which you guys can see up close, and the clear coat. So, you know, not bad. This is kind of like a Bengal tiger or kind of like an orange whatever perch. I don't know, whatever you want to call this, but it's orange and it floats and it swims, so I'll give it a shot. This also led to the same bait in this grouping, which ended up kind of being like a perch pattern for me. So I got the orange belly, you know, the black, it's got the green and the yellow, the bill's cut in, This was actually one of the first baits that I really tested a lot over the course of the last couple of weeks. As soon as we had open water, I was throwing this guy to try to figure out how he swims. So where I'm at today, I wanted to make a couple more adjustments. So I started messing around with weight. I wanted to put some weight in the bottom to even the bait out. So I did that in this next round. But what I thought I would do is kind of give you guys some background, show you guys where I started, kind of where I'm at. I would love it if you guys could provide some feedback to me. Tell me what I'm doing right. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Any tips, tricks. You know, I'm not looking to sell these baits. I'm looking to make baits to try to catch a fish to fulfill a goal and hopefully start a lifelong hobby. I really enjoyed this process, and I'm really enjoying all of the stuff that I'm learning about making baits. And for those of you that have been helping me along the way, I greatly appreciate it. You guys are awesome. So I thought I would start there. For right now, let's go ahead and jump into the process. I'm going to show you from start to finish how I actually made the new edition of Sir Galashad. So let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at some of that video. All right, guys, so here's the deal. We're going to take a 5-inch block and we're going to mark off my lumber here in 5-inch sections. Then we're going to take it over to the miter saw and we're going to cut these 5-inch sections out. Now, the nice thing is that I can get 2 Sir Galashads on one 5-inch section. Now, as you guys can see here, I'm tracing my pattern for Sir Galashad on that 5-inch block. Now, the next step is to take that 5-inch block over to the bandsaw and we're going to cut out Sir Galashad. Now, I'm just really being careful here, working along the bandsaw, and we're cutting this pattern out. But again, the really nice thing is, so I have 2 Sir Galashads printed on that 5-inch block, but the really nice thing is I actually cut them in half. So as I cut them in half, I'm going to get 4 baits out of this 5-inch block. I really like this profile, and I think it's a very efficient use of wood. So here I am cutting that baby right in half. Now the next step here is to take your bait. I'm going to take my bait here, and I'm going to take a super sharp carving blade. Now the objective here is to take that carving blade and work it all along the bait. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to carve off larger chunks of wood so that I can really carve this bait down. I'm taking this tool and I'm really whittling as much wood as I can to form this bait into a fishing lure. Now, I'm going to work along this bait. We're just going to we're going to round all the edges. We're going to kind of tailor this, make sure we get to a point where we can use the sanding block. Now, the sanding block here is my primary tool. For about $6 at Lowe's, I got a nice little handle, and this tool gave me full control over the bait. I could really touch the wood. I could feel the wood. I could mold the wood with this sanding piece, and it really got me to a point where it looked like I was actually working with a fishing lure. So instead of using the hand sander, I really like this particular tool. Again, hands-on, the feel of the wood, it's just really cool thing, and it really helps you get a lot of the imperfections out. So as I work around the bait here, you guys are going to see the finished product, this rounded fishing lure of Sir Galashad. Now, I did this for all baits. So as you guys can see here, I have 5 Sir Galashads sanded, smoothed out, and ready to go. Next step here, we're going to take the metal lips and we're actually just going to mark the bait up so I know exactly where I want to make the cuts for the metal lips. Now, back to the bandsaw. The really nice thing about these lips is they're already pre-bent. So it's literally a straight cut into the bait for me to epoxy these lips in. So as you guys can see here, I'm making the straight cuts with the bandsaw directly onto the baits, and this is going to allow us to move on to the next step fairly easy without any fuss. All right, so here we are. We're at the next step. Now I'm just kind of messing around with the bills here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark up 2 spots. One for the eyelet screw for the hook, and the second for the actual weight placement. Now I have a 1/2-inch drill bit, and I'm drilling a hole directly into the center of the bait, and I'm fitting that weight directly into the hole, as you guys can see here. Now I'm going to do this rinse and repeat for the rest of the baits. And the really nice thing is, once you guys get the holes and you get the weights fitted in, you guys can take some wood epoxy. I have some Gorilla wood epoxy, and we're just going to take a finger condom, put that on, give you full control. You can drop some wood epoxy in there to secure that weight in place, and then also to epoxy over the hole. So it really works well for this application. All right, guys, next step here. I'm going to take the Gorilla epoxy and I'm going to mix that up really quick, and then I'm going to apply it to the metal lip. Again, using that plastic finger condom to really help me control that epoxy. So as I'm working it in here, I'm just making sure that that bill is in there straight, it's in there secure, and then I'm going to take some wood epoxy and I'm going to go all along the outside of that particular lip or that bill, making sure that it's secure. So the next step in the process is we're going to take our drill and we're going to drill our eye screwlet holes in. So this is for the eyelet screws, again, that are going to hold these split rings for the hooks and really hold the split ring to attach your leader to the bait. Now I drilled the hole a little bit smaller, which I wanted. I took some epoxy and put it around the actual screws here so that once I got them drilled in or screwed in, that epoxy is going to help them stay. So the key here is to make sure you center, make sure you get them tight, and here you go is the finished product for Sir Galashad. All right, next step, guys, is I'm going to apply the acrylic base coat sealer. Now this is from Jan's Netcraft. As you can see here, I'm doing this by brush. So I'm taking that sealer, I'm applying it all around the bait, and we're probably going to do 1 to 2 base coats here, giving it a few hours to dry in between, which is important. You guys really want to make sure that that wood is sealed appropriately, and that's what I'm doing here. Now the next step, we're going to mix up some paint. So I'm ready to paint. At this point, I'm going to do a little bit of blue, a little bit of red, and a little bit of white. Of course, I added water here because these are water-based paints. The other thing to mention, I'm going to add a glob of glitter in here. I'm going to continue to mix some paint until I get the appropriate color that I'm looking for. So this is going to be purple gold glitter, and as you can see, I'm adding just a little bit more white to lighten it up, and of course some more glitter. The other thing to mention, this is a waterproof paint. So we're going to take that paint and we're just going to delicately apply it all around the bait. Now with this part of the process, I'm going to do 2 to 3 coats, and I'm going to give it a few hours in between to make sure that that dries up. Now I'm going to add a little bit more glitter. I'm going to keep applying this until I get the exact coverage that I'm looking for. So the next step here, I'm going to drill some holes on the bait for my eyes. Now we have some really cool eyes that we're going to epoxy in. I took a 1/2 inch bit and I'm drilling a hole on both sides of the bait for each one of these baits to make sure that I get the right size for that actual eye to fit right into the bait. So after we're done here, we're going to take our eyes and we're going to take some epoxy and we're going to simply apply that to the bait. So here's my Gorilla epoxy. We're going to mix up again with the finger condom. We're going to just take this and we're going to put some epoxy directly in, dropping the eyes into place to make this a nice fit for the bait. Now the other thing I want to mention quickly is as I'm working through the epoxy here, you're going to notice that I'm going to put some epoxy on the outside of the actual eyes. This is going to be some additional epoxy to secure it to the bait, which I'm just doing for precautions. Now the last step in the process, I actually have a urethane wood sealer here. It's a spray-on sealer. I'm trying this over the wood epoxy. I just wanted to try something based off of some recommendations. Now it's pretty dark, so I apologize, but I'm spraying this onto the bait and I'm going to let it dry to finish up that sealer coat for Sir Galashad. All right, Yins, guys, that is my process, at least for today. Now, I'm obviously going to be making a ton of changes. I'm continuing to learn and I want to continue to get better. I want to take all the feedback that you guys have given me and I want to apply that to make something that I'm confident in and something that could legitimately catch fish. Whether that's walleye trolling at night or pike or bass or muskie, it doesn't matter. I just want to get fish on something that I made particularly this year. So, couple things up front. Number one, yes, I know I need a paint sprayer. However, I'm committed to the brush this year. I'm going to stick it out and paint these things by hand because I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it's just something that's so easy for me to do in my living room or wherever I'm at. So with that said, I'm going to invest in a sprayer probably, but it's not going to be this year. I really want to focus on brushing and trying to be creative with something as simple as a brush. Number two, what I showed you guys for finishing these lures in this particular video, it's probably not going to work for me. And I realized that tonight as I was finishing these up. I'm going to go back to the wood epoxy. I want a finish that looks like that. So I'm going to go back to a wood epoxy, whether that's something like DevCon or E-Tech, or a couple of you guys have given me some recommendations. You know, I'm going to go back to that and I'm going to use that and I'm going to figure out how to make that work better for me. So with those couple of things said, I just want to show you guys a couple of the baits that I ended up with out of this grouping of 5. First and foremost, I went straight for the glow-in-the-dark paint that I found because I want to try to charge this baby up and troll it at night. I'm going to be doing some trolling at night relatively soon, and I just thought it'd be really cool to try glow-in-the-dark pattern. So I ended up with this guy. Now this guy, same profile, I got the weight cut into the bottom, and this guy has glow-in-the-dark, and really what I did was I just kind of took the brush and I just made a couple of strokes on there to kind of give it some other look. Now I'm probably going to take this, clean it up a little bit, and hit it with some wood epoxy later. Now the next bait that I wanted to do, I wanted to redo my Goldie pattern. Original Goldie there, and I went with a simpler approach. I just did a straight up gold glitter pattern. It's got some black in it, it's got the weight, it's got the bill cut in. You guys can see that really good. Good shine on that guy. Pretty solid color. You know, I want to be simple with this. I want to simplify. So that's what I ended up with. Now, I made a purple gold glitter pattern initially in this iteration. And I gave that to one of my coworkers. Now, when I looked at the bait, I was like, man, that's a pretty cool color. I like purple. I've always liked purple on fishing lures. I'm going to try to do purple gold glitter. So when I told Dan about this and I told Corey about this, Corey is a purple fanatic when it comes to fishing lures. He loves purple rattle baits. He was like, I want purple. Give me the purple, the gold glitter. I'll test it out. Dan wants to test the bait. Dan, you got it, baby. I got a purple gold glitter here for you, and we're going to test these bad boys out. So what I ended up with is a purple gold glitter pattern that looks like that. I got the signature on the top, and we got the purple gold glitter. Like I said, I got 3 of these bad boys that I ended up with in this grouping. I kind of ran some gold down the side of it. I don't know if you guys can see that real good, but you know, it's purple, it's gold, it's got lots of glitter, lots of shine. I needed to do something to give me some confidence in these baits. So that's what I did. I used a ton of glitter. So those are the 5 baits that I came out with this week. Now I'm going to start working on some wood. My thumb needs to heal a little bit better. It's not doing so good tonight. I've been banging it around, but it's getting there. So at some point here in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to get back to carving. And I'm going to try to focus on working on simplistic things to make these a little bit better. I'm going to do some testing. I'm going to do a lot of testing probably this weekend. And I got a couple of dates scheduled to go out fishing. Probably going to do a little bit more testing to try to tighten these guys up. My goal is to take at least 5 or 6 of these to Canada with me at the end of May. I really want to test these guys in PA. I really want to work them in streams, and I really want to take them to Canada and see if they troll at 5 miles an hour, which I highly doubt. But, you know, if I can crank them, if I control them at slower speeds, whatever I can do to make these things catch at least 1 fish for me so I can fulfill my goal, that's what I want to do. So I realize, you know, I'm not telling you guys to do the process this way. I realize I'm making hundreds of mistakes, and I take complete ownership of that. However, This hobby is so much fun. I love it. It's so cool to be able to sit down and build something, paint something, and then watch it swim. It's just so cool to be a part of this whole process. I love it. I can see this being a hobby for me for a very, very long time to come. So I highly recommend it to you guys. If you're into fishing, you really love the sport of fishing, you're kind of tinkering with some lures, maybe start with some soft plastics or start with something like that. Make your own lure. I can remember years ago, my brother made his first bucktail and it looked crazy. You know what? That first time out, he caught a fish on it. And I could see the look in his face. You know, I've heard it from people like Andrew. Some of you guys have told me, you know, what it's like to catch a fish on a bait that you've made. And that's the feeling I want to get this year. So again, you know, any feedback you guys can give me. My biggest question for you guys right now is, do you think a bait like this will catch a fish in 2019? Is it possible that this bait that I hand carved, I painted, I sealed, is it possible that that bait is going to catch a fish in 2019? Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I greatly appreciate it. For right now, I just want to thank everybody for their time. If you guys like this video, go and hit that like button for me. If you guys like the content overall, please subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. Be out fishing this weekend. Next weekend, first day of trial. For those of you that will be out at Twin Lakes a couple weekends from now, I'll see you there. For those of you guys that are out in the water, you're grinding, you're catching fish, wish you all tight lines, and we will see you next time.